Chapter 8 The Illusion Test. Having passed the first trial, Lin Chuan stepped through the second trial-S gate. In an instant, the world around him changed. He was back in his reality, familiar streets, towering buildings, moving vehicles. Even his apartment door was right in front of him. Did the trial end? Lin Chuan murmured. Just then, his phone vibrated. A message appeared on the screen. Lin Chuan, come back quick. Something is wrong. It was from his girlfriend. His heart tightened. Without thinking, he sprinted home. He pushed open the door to find his girlfriend standing in the middle of the living room, her face filled with terror. Lin Chuan, where have you been? We've been looking for you. Who has been looking for me? The next second, the windows shattered, and countless black hands reached in, clawing toward him. You shouldn't have come back. His girlfriend's voice twisted, distorted. Lin Chuan's pupils shrank. No, this wasn't real. It was an illusion. Clenching his jaw, he forced himself to remain calm, shutting his eyes to block out the hallucination. The cries of vengeful spirits echoed around him, but his determination, his thoughts of home and love was helped him break through the illusion. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing in front of the second trial-S gate. I cleared it. He exhaled sharply, wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. Second trial cleared. Chapter 9 The Agility Test. Lin Chuan stepped into the third trial-S gate. A vast stone chamber stretched before him, lined with eerie green flames flickering along the walls. What kind of test is this? He muttered cautiously. Before he could react, the ground trembled, and a pathway of floating stone platforms appeared, hovering over a bottomless abyss. A disembodied voice echoed, "Agility test, reach the end, failure condition, falling into the void." Sounds simple enough. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the first platform. It was steady, but as he prepared to jump to the next one, he heard a sharp crack. The platform beneath him began to crumble. Lin Chuan leapt just in time, narrowly landing on the next stone slab. The platform he had stood on moments ago shattered into dust and fell into the abyss. Damn, he cursed. He scanned his surroundings and quickly realized the challenge. Every platform crumbled within seconds of being touched. This wasn't just a test of agility, it demanded sharp observation and split-second decision-making. No stopping, gotta move fast. He took another deep breath and began sprinting across the platforms, each jump more perilous than the last. Yet, this was only the beginning. Trap 1 The Wind Blaze. As he moved, countless razor-sharp wind blades shot toward him at terrifying speeds. His pupils shrank. Are you serious? He dropped low, rolling just in time to avoid the first blade, but immediately after, another blade, then another, slashed through the air toward him. With barely enough time to react, Lin Chuan dodged between the deadly gusts, the last one grazing his shoulder and searing his skin with pain. Crap! At this rate, I won't make it. Clenching his teeth, he accelerated, bursting through the wind trap before his luck ran out. Trap 2 Phantom Doubles. Just as he caught his breath, he suddenly found himself at a crossroads with 4 identical versions of himself blocking each path. Each one smirked at him. You read fake one. They all spoke at the same time. His heart pounded. This is a test of perception. If he chose wrong, he'd be led to certain death. He analyzed the figures quickly. One of them had a shadow that pointed in the wrong direction. There, without hesitation, Lin Chuan dashed toward the right path. The other 3 phantoms howled as they dissolved into darkness. To be continued. Here's the continuation of your translation. Trap 3 The Final Leap. At last, Lin Chuan reached the end of the collapsing stone path. Only one final platform remained between him and the exit. The problem? A several-meter-wide chasm lay in between. I had to jump that far. He took a deep breath and stepped back, preparing to sprint. With all his strength, he launched himself into the air, and in that instant, countless black tentacles erupted from the abyss, launching toward him. Damn it! Twisting midair, he barely dodged most of them except for one, which wrapped tightly around his ankle and began dragging him down. No, I want to die here. With all his might, he drew his dagger and stabbed the tentacle. A spray of black liquid burst out as the tentacle recoiled in pain, releasing its grip. Using the momentum, Lin Chuan lunged forward, desperately grabbing onto the final platform's edge. His arms trembled violently as his body dangled over the abyss. Pull yourself up. You can do this. With a final, exhausting effort, he hoisted himself onto solid ground. The second his feet touched the platform, the entire trail fell into silence. He had made it. Chapter 10. The monster hurled Lin Chuan collapsed onto his back, gasping for air. That was way harder than the first two trials. From the now-open trial gate, Long was waiting with his usual smirk. Not bad. You cleared that faster than I expected. Lin Chuan shot him an exhausted glance but was too tired to respond. She, standing nearby, nodded approvingly. Take a breather. The next trial is a real fight. Lin Chuan closed his eyes, inhaled deeply, then stood up. Third trial cleared. Stepping through the next trial's entrance, Lin Chuan found himself in a massive arena. Towering black stone walls surrounded him. Above, the sky was choked with dark clouds and rolling thunder. The combat trial. Cracking his knuckles, he prepared for battle. A deep, eerie growl rumbled through the air. Then the ground trembled. From the shadows, a monstrous horde emerged. Hundreds of creatures, all with glowing red eyes, surged forward like a tidal wave. That's a lot more than I expected. Lin Chuan estimated their levels. Most were around level 25. Individually, they weren't a threat, but together, they could easily overwhelm him. Long's voice echoed from somewhere unseen. Trial begins. Defeat all enemies to proceed. Lin Chuan grinned. Alright then, let us dance. Lin Chuan clapped his hands together, summoning his energy. Flame surge. Boom! A roaring wave of fire burst from his palms, sweeping across the battlefield. The monsters howled as flames engulfed them, their charred bodies disintegrating into ashes. But before Lin Chuan could celebrate, the corpses began to shift. A dark, slimy substance oozed from the burned remains, merging together into a towering abomination. A grotesque, 10-meter-tall amalgamation of flesh and shadows loomed before him. Lin Chuan's smile widened. Finally, something fun. Storm frenzy. A devastating tornado of wind, lightning, and fire erupted around him, turning the battlefield into a storm of destruction. The monstrous creature let out a deafening screech as its body was torn apart. Ding! Trial cleared. Level up. Lin Chuan has reached level 7. As the storm dissipated, Lin Chuan wiped sweat from his forehead and turned toward the exit. Long was already waiting, arms crossed, grinning. Enjoy yourself. Lin Chuan smirked. Not bad, just getting warmed up. She observed him silently. For the first time, a hint of admiration flashed in her eyes. Long clapped his hands. Alright, time for the final boss trial. Chapter 11. The boss battle. Lin Chuan stepped into the final chamber. A colossal black hole stretched before him. The air reeked of sulfur. Blood-red crystals pulsed in the walls, casting eerie shadows across the cracked marble floor. This place reeks of death. He clenched his fists, muscles tensed. A thunderous footstep echoed from the darkness. Then a gigantic, armored beast emerged, standing 3 meters tall, clad in blackened demon steel. Its flaming red eyes locked onto him. A notification appeared. Final trial boss, Black Flame Demon King, level 55. Lin Chuan froze, level 55. Are you kidding me? Before he could react, the Demon King raised his massive battle axe. A black inferno ignited around it, forming an impenetrable barrier. Black Flame Shield active cannot be harmed until the shield is broken. Lin Chuan gritted his teeth. So I have to break the shield first. He launched a flame surge at it, but the flames vanished the moment they touched the barrier. Damn it. Before he could plan his next move, the boss swung his axe. Dark fire explosion. A pillar of black flames erupted beneath him. Lin Chuan barely dodged, but his left arm was scorched, skin charring instantly. Shit, that hurts. Worse yet, the boss began absorbing fallen monster corpses. That absorption consumes fallen enemies to restore health. Lin Chuan's heart sank. It heals itself. That axe broken. He needed a strategy fast, but his body was slowing down. Wounds accumulating. He was losing. Just then Shi's seal markings began to glow. A moment later, mystical runes detached from her body, flying toward Lin Chuan. What the hell? The runes merged into his body. A surge of power exploded through him. New ability awakened. Magic Reversal of E. It can reflect any magic attack Sun uses per battle. Lin Chuan's eyes widened. This might work. The Demon King swung his axe again. Black Flame Shield reactivated. Lin Chuan grinned. Let's see how you like this. He activated Magic Reversal. A glowing barrier formed around him. The Demon King's shield suddenly shattered. Its own power turned against it. Boss shield broken. Vulnerable to attacks. Lin Chuan didn't hesitate. Storm Frenzy, Thunder Strike, Flame Surge. 3 ultimate attacks combined, obliterating the Demon King. The monstrous beast let out one final roar of agony before being consumed in an explosion of fire and lightning. Ding! Trial cleared. Level up. Lin Chuan has reached level 50. He staggered back, exhaling sharply. That was intense. Long walked up with his signature smirk. Kate, congratulations. You survived. She silently watched him, a complicated emotion in her eyes. Lin Chuan grinned. The final trial cleared. To be continued. Epilogue. Prologue to Season R. Stepping out of the trial's gate, Lin Chuan immediately recounted everything he had experienced in battle too long. The runes on Shi's body, they flew off on their own and even granted me a skill. Long frowned. Deep in thought, I've never seen anything like that before. Beside them, she abruptly lifted her head, her gaze urgent as she looked between the two of them. She tried to speak, but her sealed throat still prevented her from making a sound. Instead, she crouched down and began writing on the ground. However, neither Lin Chuan nor Long could understand a single word. What does this mean? Lin Chuan muttered, his curiosity about Shi's past and the mystery of her runes growing deeper. Coming in Season R, the mystery of Shi's origins.